Okay, my name is Charlie. I'm going to not stand in front of the slide. I'm going to stand over here in the corner. I'm going to talk about editing trailers with Final Cut 10. Does anybody here cut trailers? Okay. And so everybody here uses Final Cut? Yes, pretty much? Okay, well, you may not learn anything new, but so maybe I'll just tell some jokes. How's that sound? This is interactive. If you have any questions, comments, derision, insults, please hurl them my way. Anyway, I'm going to refer to this because I have limited time and a lot to babble. So when I say trailers, as you know who cut trailers, it's a lot of TV spots. Trailers are kind of the luxury of 2.5 minutes. TV spots are most of what we do. Instagram things now, Snapchat, you know, so they want the whole movie in 2.5 minutes. Now they want it in 10 seconds. So it can be challenging. And I'll hit my clicker. Hold on. I got a lot of visual aids here. Why Final Cut 10? Well, because in a nutshell, I'm not going to talk about a whole ton of technical things. I think it's mainly, as those of you who use it know, it just lets you work faster. It lets you, when you're cutting trailers or really anything, it's really easy to find stuff. You just try things. I use Premiere. I use Final Cut 7. I know Media Composer. I learned to cut on Media Composer a million years ago. I own it. Try and keep my chops up. And sometimes I'll switch back and forth between, you know, Final Cut 10 and something else at the same time. Final Cut 10 is more fun, and it's just sort of faster. Let's see. Trailer workflow, it's the same as everything else. You have your media, you put it in a network, you use your brain, and you cut something that people see. And it's not like, you know, you've heard all the workflow stuff that everybody else does. It's the same thing. It's actually a lot simpler in a lot of ways than doing a documentary or scripted because we don't have piles of dailies, tons of different media. We've just got basically features. We may get 5 different versions of it, but it's not a whole lot to keep track of, and it's actually nice in Final Cut. I mean, Final Cut excels at dealing with piles of media. So for our stuff, it's a no-brainer. I mean, it works great. Mostly what we do is offline. Sometimes we finish in-house, but it's mostly offline. We cut, it goes through the revision process, the client signs off on it or not. And, but if they do, then it goes to finish, and we use EDLX, which Rainer has graciously made for us. And Extra Pro, it interfaces with, you know, all the same places in town that everybody else interfaces with. It works. So there's no issues around that. And yeah, talking about that, you kind of, like Final Cut 10, as you all know, is sort of a platform. And if you need specific functionality, you get it. Not everybody in the world needs to make EDLs. In fact, pretty much nobody in the world needs to make EDLs, except in Hollywood. And not everybody needs AAF. So if you do need them, you get the stuff you need, the basic stuff you need to cut trailers or anything that you're going to do professionally. Compressor, you need it. Motion, you don't need it. You should get it because you can do some crazy cool things, even if you don't really know what you're doing. Like, I don't know motion very well, but I can do some cool things in it. 7 to X, X to CC, which Philip and Greg have graciously also made. If you want to talk to any other NLEs or other systems, you need that. EDLX, Extra Pro, you also need. Here are the things that I have. Whoa, how did I do that? That was cool. I did that on purpose, I swear. This is all the stuff that I have. Now, you don't need all this stuff. Affinity Photo is a great Photoshop alternative, Compressor, Logic, Color Finale, Pixelmator, Digital Rebellion Tools, X2CC. Some idiot made something called Roll-O-Matic, which you can automatically set your rolls on multiple files. Clip Exporter, all this stuff. You don't need all this stuff, but really, even if you buy all this crazy stuff, and this doesn't include other plugins like the core melt stuff, which is sort of a necessity. You can do all your planar tracking in the NLE. MObject, which is a 3D environment in your program. But really, if you spend all that money, it's going to cost you less than purchasing Media Composer. And you've got it. You pay for it once, and it's all yours. Let's see what happens if I press this button. Oh, okay, workflow. Basic workflow. Where I am, we're in a mix of Final Cut 10. I'm pretty much an island on that. That's a whole other presentation. But it's still Final Cut 7 and Premiere. I'm sort of the only one that uses Premiere as well. It's the same network that we always use. There's nothing, we didn't have to do anything special. It's just a Mac Mini with a 06 server, a couple Promise plugged into it, RAIDs, Pegasi, and gigabit Ethernet. All the media is shared. Libraries and renders are local. We do that with other NLEs. We keep our projects and renders local. It's just less traffic on the network, and it works. You don't have to do anything. If you were, and we're all working in ProRes, basically, so it's not really bandwidth intensive. If you are working with higher resolution stuff, then Sam Messman is the person you need to talk to, because you can.
Is it typically 1080, Charlie?
Yeah, it's 1080. It's like ProRes 422, sometimes LT, sometimes HQ, but usually they just they transcode it at the studios and just send us whatever. So it's not. You don't have to, there's really no magic. You just plug it in and it works. Let's see. Workflow in FCPX. Set up your library with smart collections. I'll show you a little bit about that if I talk fast enough. Basically, if you've cut trailers or anything, you're doing a lot of versions. You'll start, spot 1, version A, and then you'll make snapshots along the way. And then you get to version 1, you present that to the client, continue. So there's millions of different iterations. And in conventional NLEs, you got to kind of sort that stuff into your bins, which in some things that call them bins, they're actually folders, but they call them bins anyway. So you got to do that manually. There are some smart search capabilities, but not reliable in my experience. But anyway, so you do that, you import your media, you set your roles, really important for this kind of workflow. Make your selects, and you start cutting. It's just that easy. Here's your library setup. You guys use it, so you know how this all works. I will leave this up here for 2 seconds. And then roles. Set your roles properly. Darren Work is not here, but he will tell you what happens when you don't have your roles set properly. It can be a nightmare. So if you are working with assistants, they need to set their roles. If you are working on your own, set your roles. You can do it when you bring it in. You can do it in the timeline. Just do it. If you do it correctly, you'll be happy. If you do it incorrectly, you will take drugs and blow your brains out. Or somebody's brains out. For what I do, it is so much easier to find stuff in Final Cut 10. Now, obviously, you've made your selects in whatever you're working in, so hopefully you've got everything. If you don't, if you are like, oh, I know, I need that shot where the guy drops the coffee cup, and I know it's in Reel 5. In anything else, well, here's what you're looking at, first of all. Now, you can look at sort of a thumbnail view and all these things, but it ain't the same. With film strips, you can just blow into it. You're looking at 2 seconds at a time. Just scroll through it. Go, oh, there it is. When I'm in, let's say, Premiere, I can't do it in Final Cut 7 because you can't run the two at the same time. I keep Final Cut 10 open in the background with a mirror of the media because it is faster for me to go into Final Cut 10, find what I'm looking for, then go back to Premiere and just go right to the timecode. So even if you don't, this is not for you guys, it's for the world. Hello, world. If you don't use Final Cut to cut in, you should use it as a great plugin for any NLE. Everybody should own it for that reason. And this is even more true for audio. I do trailers, a lot of it's audio, designing sound effects, and so I need to find stuff. Now, let's say I'm looking for a whoosh that hits really hard and then tails off, and this is what that search shows up as in different NLEs. A bunch of little weird waveformy things, or the actual waveforms. So you can listen to each one of those individually, or double-click it and open it up and see the actual waveform, or you just look at that and go, oh, it's going to be this one and this one. It's so much faster. Same deal. If I'm in something else, I'll find stuff in here, hit Reveal in Finder, drag it into the other thing here. Oh, finishing. So actually, I'm going to get out of this for a second and just show you some things that I like.
Charlie, can you go into detail a little more about, so you're editing a project in Premiere, but you're using Final Cut?
Yeah, I mean, because I have to sort of share projects with projects or sequences, depending on what you're working in, with other editors who are not necessarily in Final Cut 10, I start everything in 10. I'll keep it in 10 if I can. If I need to start swapping stuff around, I'll move it over to whatever. But in some cases, I will, even if I'm in, I start everything, so I've got all the media, and then I'll be working in Premiere, and I'll go, oh, I need to find this. I just tab to 10, find it, go back. It's honest to God, it's so much faster. Final Cut 10 will make editing in any NLE faster. Not editing, but just finding material, which is a big deal. Discovery.
How do you move an edit from 10 into something like Premiere?
With X2CC. It works amazingly well. You have to do a little cleanup going either way, going from Premiere to X or X to Premiere or 7. People still use 7. Let it go. It's time. It's dead. And it's gonna stop working one day, and then you're going to be SOL. So learn something else and learn 10. So anyway, yeah, so it'll take you about maybe 15 minutes to go through and just sort of set your roles, because everything comes in as like A1, A2, A3, and you don't really want that. What you want is a nice set of roles that look like this. Dialogue, effects. Oh, where's the music? I didn't set my role. Oh, there it is. Okay, anyway, let's see. Library setup. The way I set this up is I have my media is all here. Feature selects show up in here. I have graphics here, which I don't have any of. Music will go in here. VO, ADR, just events for every little bit of media. My spots, I have a specific event for those. And the way I do this, you can do it any way you want. But everything is named, as you see here, Spot 3 WIP, work in progress. So these are my works in progress. When I make snapshots, I'll just show you this. It looks for a project that doesn't include snapshot, that doesn't include sent, because when I send something to a client, I put sent in the notes field, and I end up with sent spots. And this is what has been submitted to the client. And if I got revisions, I would then make a snapshot of this and continue with version 2. So all my works in progress are here.
Why did you do a snapshot as opposed to a duplicate?
Because if I've got compound clips, which I do a lot for audio and stuff, or if I have multicams, which I don't do, but it'll freeze that. So when you make the snapshot, that never changes. So if I then am continuing with the work in progress and I make changes to a compound clip, it doesn't ripple back and destroy everything that I've done so far. So yeah, you can duplicate. I just don't duplicate things, and I have a keyboard shortcut for making a snapshot, and I'm just, I'm like working. Just do that and make a snapshot. I keep working. In anything else, you have to go back into the browser, find your thing, duplicate it, rename it. You don't have to do that. You just keep working. Here's everything. All the cuts go in there. Snapshots, it just looks for a project that includes snapshot. You can do this any way you want, but you can really set up a workflow where I don't have to do anything. I've got the spots one, I have to make one for each spot name. Includes spot one, doesn't include snapshot, doesn't include work. So even if I don't send a version, it'll show up in there. And of course, if you just go to here, you can get to everything anyway. Yeah, let's see, roles. Yeah, you know about roles. You need roles, and I'll talk to you a little bit about why. Here's the thing, talking about the film strip view. Again, all of you probably know this, so I'm preaching to the choir here. But if you are here and you're looking for that shot of, where's the person with a sword, or a typewriter? There it is. Now you would have to open a viewer, in another NLE, drag through it, or hover scrub, which, as you know, basically gives you this. So maybe, and you don't have the viewer, so don't look at that. You have this little thing, and maybe you'll see it, but with film strips, you just blow in on it and easily find it. Same deal with music or sound effects. Here's sound effects. There is everything. I'm looking for a gun. I know that it's not going to be one of these things. It's going to be maybe this one. That's the one. Anyway, it's so much faster to find stuff. What other fun things do I like? Audio components, you cut something in. Like I said, we get split sources with effects, dialogue, and music. I disable the music. We don't care about that. But if I've cut something in and I don't want the effects. Wait, where is it? Oh, there it is. Show. I'll just turn that off. Now, if I decide later on that I need that effect, I don't have to match back and do all that stuff. I just turn it back on. I never disconnect audio except to cheat it. So people who say, like, you don't have sync markers, it's like, you don't need them. The only reason to disconnect audio is if you are going to move it somewhere and intentionally throw it out of sync. So, and even if I was going to cheat this dialogue, I would just turn off the internal, match back, cut in audio only, mess around with that. If I decide it doesn't work, I just throw it away, turn this back on. It's so much faster. Let's see. Oh yeah, compound clips versus nesting. Nesting, people sometimes say, oh, compound clips are just like nests. They're not, for the following reason. A nest in any other NLE, once it's a nest, it's a nest. You can't really flatten it easily. You got to go back in, copy it, paste it in. You've got tracks, so you want to paste something in, say, here. You want to open it up, but what's going to happen if you could expand it, you have to move all the tracks around, whereas with these guys, you just do that, and there it all is. Nothing has been overwritten, nothing, close it all up. It's very nice if you need to make any revisions. Compound clips are the bomb. Way better than nesting. Let's see. Oh yeah, text and stuff, like these, I forgot my font, so I had to use stupid Helvetica. But you can make, these are just this is all done in Final Cut. I mean, this background is a smoke generator from Motion that I just exported as a movie. I got this little light thing for free. 3D text. You don't have to use big, stupid 3D text. Everybody's like, 3D text, it's stupid. Well, yeah, if you make it like a cartoon. But this has just a little bit. It makes it really helps. And you can make some great titles that'll free up your graphics department. And sometimes, I did this thing for Poltergeist. We had graphics, stuff was out to finish. The graphics guy wasn't in the office. They called, you forgot Friday, just some tag cards. So I went into After Effects. I'm like, I can do this. No, I can't, because it was all in Cinema 4D and Illustrator. I'm like, I don't know what the hell this is. So I I have the font. So I took the font, went to Final Cut 10, took his thing, matched the kerning, everything. He had a textless background. I put that under it. It went to finish. Mixed into a spot that went on the air, mixed with After Effects titles and Final Cut 10 in the NLE titles. You couldn't tell the difference. Now, that's not always going to be the case, but you can make some really great stuff in the box. How am I doing here? Oh, God. I got no time left. Anyway, yeah, another thing you can't do in other NLEs, let's say you want to move this stuff all as a group. You can do that in Final Cut 10. You can't do that in other NLEs. You get the thing that says more than one clip selected. Well, duh, I wanted to move more than one clip. Thanks for not letting me do that. Sound effects, these little clip connection things, I meant to spend more time on this. As you'll notice, the connection is on the frame that this thing connects to, and I know that this is where the little arrow thing releases, and this is the thing hitting right there. And I had another little whoosh here, but when I had to reassemble everything, you just solo that. Soloing things is so easy. And just go like this. you know, it's all, you don't have to guess. There's no guesswork. It tells you exactly what you're connected to. And auditions, you guys know about auditions. I don't have any in here. They're really awesome. If you have auditions, you can't like replace it with the exact same length. So if you want to just see, you can just put the audition like underneath, you know, down here. And then even if you go to another pick and it's 10 frames longer, it doesn't matter. It's not going to throw your thing out of sync. And for me, that matters. If you're cutting, I guess, narrative, you don't care maybe if everything gets pushed down. If you're like, I got to be at 10 seconds, you do care. Here is this thing that I cut to preview Sam's thing. It's very, very exciting. I spent a whole lot of time on this.
Welcome to our web-free world.
So anyway, I mean, that took me like an hour. And I hadn't even seen the feature. I just like scrolled through the feature. I like found some cheesy music. This is not going to win me any awards, and I'm not putting it on my reel. But the other thing that's great is, and I'll just then get out of your hair and you can ask questions. Being able to preview stuff, huge, like audio effects. You guys probably do this. For those that don't know it, you know, you want to put some echo on something, you can just whatever you want, like some weird voice thing, cartoon animals. You know, in another NLE, you have to like apply that, listen to it, take it off. Same thing with video stuff. And then last but not least, we have finishing, and I'll just, EDLX and Extra Pro, it's auto duck, resolve, whatever you need. Basically, for versioning, this is what a sequence will, or a project ends up going through Extra Pro to Logic in this case. All your tracks are named. It's beautifully laid out. I have mixers go like, how did you do this? You know, I'm like, how's your assistant is amazing. It's like, well, no, my assistant is actually the software that I use. That's the thing. It's kind of like your own little built-in assistant. It's really awesome. For doing versions, I'll do this really quickly. You have, when we do a spot, you might have, this is for 5 spots. You've got 4 or 5 versions of each one with different splits, different graphics, different, some will have narration, some won't, some will have a tag, some won't. In another NLE, it's, you can do it. It's like, oh, I got to disable this. There's so much to keep track of. In Final Cut 10, I just made a master. This is something that was cut in another NLE. I finished it in 10. Made a master with the different versions. The audio is all in, you give it different roles. These are the roles. So you got your generic version, a texted theater demand, textless. You spend, literally, if you go to my blog, there's a write-up on this. You spend 20 minutes setting it up. You make all these little share presets that have the splits and the correct video. And then it's just like, press a button, press a button, press a button, press a button, go get coffee. Come back, it's done. I mean, again, if you don't use Final Cut to edit in, get it to do this, because it totally blows anything else away. And I've used other things. And I've talked to people who don't really even like Final Cut 10, who've done finishing out of it. It's amazing. So yeah, that's it. I cut trailers in Final Cut 10 in LA. Yes, I do. Thank you. Thank you, Burbank.
All right, Charlie. Once again, proving why Final Cut 10 is the best for the lazy editor.
Any questions?
Video
I don't have any
editor.
answers, but I'll
I'm sure you do on this one. Since you don't, open a comp in place, kind of like you would with Avid or with Premiere, so I presume you just break apart.
Well, I can step into it as you would in Avid, like just double click on it and it takes you into it.
But it's not in place in the timeline.
Correct.
So as I understand it, the way around that is that you break apart the components of the compound clip.
Yeah.
When you make a new compound clip to collapse it, do you run into a naming problem? I mean,
No, it'll prompt you for a name. So you can just name it whatever you want.
So once you've broken apart that compound,
Well, it still
that
exists.
compound goes away from your
It goes
browser?
away in
or-
the sequence. It still
Right.
exists in the browser.
So now when you
So you've got
collapse
another
it,
one.
You had so do you typically then have to
Yeah.
increment the name to keep track of what you're? So
Yeah, if you want to do that. I mean, generally, if I need to move stuff around, I'll do it. Premiere's different, and Final Cut 7, you can't do that.
Right.
You can't open it in place. You have to go in, do pancake editing or
Right.
whatever, and you know, it's kind of a pain. Avid, yeah, it's slightly different, but it's in practice, it's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal. You
No.
just, okay.
Even if you don't name it, it's just going to name it new compound, you know, whatever. It'll just figure it out for you. And I've got a smart collection that just gathers all my compound clips, so they're all in one place. I don't need to hunt around for them. I just go, there they
Got
are.
it.
So it's pretty cool.
Careful.
So I've talked to a number of trailer houses that are using various NLEs about their workflow. One of the reasons they sometimes give me for not thinking about Final Cut Pro 10 is they're getting these projects from the studios and they're always, well, usually Avid, sometimes Premiere, and that's somehow some huge roadblock for them using something else. Can you talk maybe a little bit about why that isn't such a roadblock, and why do you think people get so obsessed with this idea that if I'm getting an Avid project or I've got the media in an Avid project, I have to use Avid to edit the trailer?
Well, I mean, I think, look, you may be able to make a case for that. I mean, we never get Avid projects. We get finished stuff. If we were to get an Avid project, I would just open it up in Avid and figure out a way to, you know, get it out. I don't really have an answer for that because it ain't easy from Avid. It's very easy to get in and out of Premiere and Final Cut Old. Avid's a little more of a challenge, but it's doable. And again, they don't send us projects. You know, I can't speak for everyone, but we just get cut pieces. Sometimes we'll get dailies, we'll have to assemble it ourselves. So for Avid, you know, I mean, you use what works, but I think for most of the places, they're not getting that. So that's not really an issue.
I think it's actually, sorry. My sense is that's a bit more of an excuse.
Yeah,
That they might get an Avid project once or twice a year. And
look,
so
I mean, I could go to my blog. That's where I express my opinions. I have some opinions. It seems like people don't use, in my little niche industry, and maybe in others, people don't use Final Cut 10 because people don't use Final Cut 10. They are like, well, who uses it? And I have Magic Feather does all the promos for, you know, Discovery and TLC and the Shark Week and Minions tie-ins, Sony worldwide creative content. Anything you see that isn't a trailer or a TV spot, anything that's got interview stuff, behind-the-scenes stuff, somebody goes on a talk show and they've got a clip from the movie, they cut those clips. They don't just lift it from the movie. They're all Final Cut 10. They love it. I tell people about that and they're like, well, yeah, anybody big? It's like, who cares? It's like, this didn't happen. When Final Cut 1 came out, I was there. I'm old. And same thing. People were like, oh, this is stupid, but people took it, they were like, wait a minute, no it isn't, it's cool, and it's less than Media Composer. They kind of took a chance, and people need to take a chance on Final Cut 10 because it's awesome. It's like, when you get it, it just kicks ass. I'm not saying it's going to be the one NLE to rule them all, but it could be.
So two-parter here actually is what do you find the experiences like when you're in the room with a producer, this versus maybe some of the other NLEs? Do you find that the producers are more in tune? Are you able to work with them a little bit faster and take care of them better?
Yeah, I mean, you can try things out faster, and we work a lot on what we call fiber, which is basically we're sitting in our bay, they're in their office with a straight connection to them on a speakerphone watching us cut. And, you know, so they're like wanting to go. That's why when I hear people, you know, talking about no magnetism, it's like, well, you can't have everything all nicely lined up. Well, that'd be nice. I would love to live in that world where I can do that. But if I'm even with tracks, I got to cut, and I got to fit it all in there. So it's a mess. And in Final Cut 10, whether it's a mess or not, it doesn't matter because it's easily gotten to. But you can just do things faster. I don't have to target a track. When I make a cut, I just go, I want to put this here, and I'll deal with it later. I don't have to worry, like, am I going to overwrite something? It sounds glib, but it's true. When you're in a fast situation, you can be faster. Like I said, previewing effects. It's like, oh, I want that to look a little blue. So you go to your looks and you just try that. You like that? You like that? Oh, that. It's faster.
And if you had to talk a potential client into using Final Cut 10 and you saw some hesitation, what would your go-to demo sort of be in terms of the features that would probably get them, to maybe take a risk?
Talk a client into it? Well,
Yeah,
our clients don't cut. They make us cut.
Well, I guess at the beginning of a job, if you told them that it was Final Cut 10, what would your...
They don't care. I mean, honestly, they don't. Because we're working with the marketing department of the studios. They just want it done fast and good. There is no, like, pick one. They want both.
So you'd say it doesn't even come up?
No, I mean, they don't, it's like on the internet, no one knows you're a dog. I mean, if I'm sitting in my bay and they're somewhere else, they just see the picture. They don't know what I'm cutting on. I think the biggest sort of sticking point is that it's different. And people, they'll come up with excuses like, oh, we get all these media composer projects. Oh, there's not enough people that know it. Oh, nobody else uses it. Because it's different. It requires a little learning, but it's so freaking worth it. As you guys know, we're preaching to the choir here, but maybe someone out in the world doesn't know this. So,
Anybody else have any?
Any other questions?
I'm just a trailer editing.
Wait a second. Hang on a second.
sure.
It's for the tape.
It's not even that. Final Cut. I'm interested in cutting trailers and just trying that out.
Mm-hmm.
But where do you guys get your sound effects and music and is there anything you recommend?
Well, there's varying levels of goodness.
Right.
There's all the sort of online things, the people that advertise on FCP.co and, not Pond 5, but that type of thing. There's a lot of music libraries that's who we use. Beyond Music Group, like X-Ray Dog. If you look up Beyond Music Group, they have tons of libraries, and that was a cheesy piece of music that I don't know who did that, but I think it probably wasn't Megatrax. But these guys, it's amazing. So I'd use that. And sound effects, I don't want to reveal my sources. No. Sound effects, I buy sound effects libraries. These library people do design sound effects too that are sick, but they're expensive. There's a place called boomlibrary.com. Their effects are amazing, and they're royalty free. I mean, you don't have to pay for them. You buy them, and then they're yours. Sound Ideas, which just got bought by somebody else, same idea. So it's out there. Boom Library, look at them for sound effects, for music. Look up Beyond Music Group. They have a ton of different people that they represent. So.
Anything else?
All right.
Okay, I'll get out of your hair. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to my